Alright, welcome back. Today we are doing a basic grid layout in Bootstrap. I just have these as copy and paste in case I need to do a quick grid layout in Bootstrap. So we will be installing Bootstrap from cd&js and then adding our grids and testing how they work. Let us grab probably the Bootstrap code first, I guess. So you can do this just by going to cd&js, and then you just have to grab the latest version of Bootstrap, whichever one you're using. Hopefully it's the same one that I am using. Then we just paste that in there from cd&js. I'm actually using Bootstrap Dark 5, which is Bootstrap Nightshade, but for some reason, every time I add this, the background goes white, even though it is Nightshade, because I think you have to toggle it to dark mode. Oh, why is it so white? I have to work in white. You can actually see it, my face highlights as I go there. Let us add a small grid, and then after that we'll add an auto grid. So you can actually, this is just using the container and row and col-sm. This is one I prepared earlier, which is the small grid. So we have a H2 saying small grid, obviously. And then we have our container, because everything's put in a container in Bootstrap for some reason. And then we have our row. So we're going to have multiple rows of these. And then this one, it is actually already kind of automatic, because the more cols you add to it, the more items it adds to the row. So if I put another col-sm, it'll just automatically add one in there, which is kind of nice. You don't have to think about calculations or anything. It automatically pads them and everything. And you can add as many columns as you want. And then if we wanted another row, we can just add another row within this same container, or add a new container if you wanted to as well. And then it will stack another one. Oh, time to stand. Man, I've been sitting for too long again. So now we've got one row here of 5. And then under there we've got one row of 3. That is pretty much how the rows work in Bootstrap. I guess that's why people use Bootstrap, because it's just so easy. You just put in the Bootstrap min, chuck in your columns, and you're set. And it does pretty much, it stacks them as we go like that as well. So it's already responsive, and it's just easy to use really. And you can see how the columns are already padded and everything. Then we have another auto grid, but this one is kind of already the auto grid. I did have an auto grid down here. I'll just try this auto grid and see what the difference is. I don't think there's even much difference. Auto grid. So this one we have auto grid, container, row, and then just col. So it's not a small col. So you can actually just do it with col or col-sm, depending on, I think it's probably the breakpoint. So you can see here we've got 1 of 2, 2 of 2, and then 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and they just sit there in their rows, and we'll see how that stacks as well. So this one I don't think stacks the same way. So I'll just actually go into responsive for a second, see what it does. So we can see here on our responsive, these, do they stack or not? No, these don't stack at all. So the col-sm actually forces the rows to stack at small breakpoint, which is, I think that's actually quite good. I prefer that stacking, but if for any reason you wanted to have your cols not stack, then you can just use col by itself instead of col-sm. So yeah, if you want everything to be, see how it kind of pops out at different breakpoints, which is nice. All of them do that, I think, as well. And yes, there we go. That is our Bootstrap grid basics. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.